Welcome, listener. If you ever found yourself haunted by something that happened long ago, if a moment still echoes inside you, changes the way you see yourself, the way you breathe, the way you love, then this story is for the part of you that is ready to rewire the memory without erasing the lesson. So go ahead and take a slow breath in, and as you exhale, imagine that breath softening the space between your ribs, between your thoughts, between your heart and your mind. You don't have to fix anything right now. You just have to listen, to allow what's meant to heal to begin. Her name was Elena, and for years there was one memory she couldn't escape. It wasn't always at the surface. Sometimes it hid quietly, like a shadow under a tree, and then suddenly a sound, a smell, or a word would bring it back in vivid color. Her body would tighten, her heart would race, and even though the event was long over, her nervous system didn't seem to know that. She tried to move on. She tried to let go. But you can't let go of something that's still living inside you. You can only learn to transform it. One evening, she came across a podcast episode by Dr. Caroline Leaf, a cognitive neuroscientist who spoke with warmth and clarity, like someone who understood the invisible pain of living with a mind full of unhealed memories. Dr. Leaf talked about how thoughts are real, physical structures in the brain, how they grow, how they can become pruned, how toxic ones can be dismantled and rebuilt. And as Elena listened, something inside her whispered, "Maybe I'm not broken. Maybe my brain is just ready to be rewired." So she began. The first step, Dr. Leaf said, is awareness. It sounded simple, but it wasn't. Awareness meant turning toward the memory instead of away from it. It meant noticing, not judging, what was happening in her body when it arose. So one morning, Elena sat by her window, light pouring through the blinds in thin golden strips. She closed her eyes, placed her hand over her chest, and whispered, "What do I feel right now?" At first, nothing. Then tightness. Then heat rising up from her throat. Her fingers trembled slightly. Her stomach felt like a stone. She didn't fight it this time. She just watched, like a scientist studying the weather of her own body. She became aware of the storm without becoming the storm itself. And for the first time, the memory didn't feel like an enemy. It felt like a signal, an invitation to look deeper. The next step was reflection. Dr. Leaf said that reflection is not rumination, it's direction. It's asking the mind gentle, curious questions that begin to unravel the tangled web. So Elena asked herself, what am I believing because of this event? What did I decide about myself that day? What did I lose, and what did I learn? The answers came slowly, like ripples forming on still water. She realized she had decided she wasn't safe, that love was dangerous, that she had to be on guard, even with kind people. Those beliefs had shaped everything, her relationships, her habits, her posture, and her voice. She let herself cry, not as a collapse, but as a cleansing. Every tear that fell seemed to loosen a thread in the web. Her reflection wasn't just mental, it was emotional, physical, spiritual. It was her whole being remembering that she was more than what had happened. Step 3 was writing. Elena opened a notebook, its pages still crisp, and began to write without editing. Dr. Leaf had said to let the words spill freely. So she wrote everything: memories, sensations, names, smells, moments that made no sense. Then she wrote the story as if she were outside of it, an observer watching her younger self with compassion. She wrote, "I see you standing there, trying to make sense of what was never your fault. You did the best you could with what you knew, and you survived." As the pen moved, she felt parts of her body relax. Her jaw unclenched, her breathing deepened. The act of writing gave shape to the chaos. It brought the intangible out of hiding into a place where she could hold it and eventually release it. The fourth step was recheck. This one took patience. It meant revisiting the thought she had written, not to relive it, but to reframe it, to look again from a higher vantage point. Dr. Leaf said, "You are the thinker of your thoughts. You can choose to reconceptualize them." So Elena reread her writing. This time she asked, what else could be true? She saw that event that once felt like a curse had actually made her deeply empathic. She had become the friend who listened without judgment, the one people turned to when they were in pain. She realized that the memory itself didn't need to disappear. It just needed to transform. Like compost, it could feed something new again, something kinder, something stronger. She whispered softly, "I released the version of me that had lived in fear. I honor her, and I let her rest." Finally came active reach, the daily practice of living out the new belief. Dr. Leaf said this is where the new neutral pathway stabilizes, where transformation becomes tangible. So Elena began each morning with one small, deliberate action. When the old thought whispered, "You're not safe," she placed her hand over her heart and said, "I am safe in this moment. My body knows peace." When she felt herself retreating from connection, she made eye contact with someone kind and let warmth pass between them. When she wanted to shut down, she wrote a gratitude note instead. These weren't dramatic acts. They were rewiring acts, little sparks of safety that told her brain, "We're learning a new way now." Over time, she noticed she could recall the memory without the sharp sting in her chest. The colors were softer. The sounds were muted. It was as if her mind had updated its language. What once screamed danger now whispered wisdom. One evening, months later, Elena sat beneath the quiet sky. The stars looked like neurons, tiny glowing connections stretching across the vast space. She smiled, realizing that her brain was doing the same thing inside her skull, forging new constellations of thoughts, lighting up new pathways of peace. And as she breathed slowly, she thought of Dr. Leaf's words. You cannot change what happened to you, but you can change what it means inside your brain. Elena smiled softly because she finally understood. The past was no longer a trap. It had become a teacher, and she was free. And now, as the story fades into silence and the part of you that listens begins to turn inward, you might notice that the air around you feels a little softer, the light a little warmer, and somewhere in the stillness, your body begins to remember what peace feels like. You don't have to try. Just notice how your breath moves in and out, in and out, like gentle waves shaping a quiet shore. And as you follow that rhythm, your awareness begins to settle. Your thoughts drift, not away, but deeper, like leaves floating on a slow-moving stream. Each thought appearing, drifting, and disappearing. Nothing to fix, nothing to chase. Just a gentle motion of a mind learning how to reset. In this moment, become aware of your body. Notice how the weight of your shoulders feel against the surface behind you. The way your hands rest without effort. The way your breath creates space in your chest and softens as it leaves. Awareness isn't about control. It's about presence. So simply be here now. Let your awareness spread gently through your body, through your jaw, your neck, your shoulders, your spine, all the way down to the soles of your feet. If there's any tightness, just breathe around it, as if your breath were a soft light, illuminating each space inside you that's ready to unwind. And as you become aware, you might begin to sense that your body has already known how to heal. It only needed time, permission, and a quiet place to begin. Now imagine a gentle image forming before you. A soft, golden notebook resting on a wooden table. Its pages are open, and on the first page, written in light, is the word reflection. You don't need to think hard. Just allow your inner mind to drift toward one thought, one emotion, one pattern that feels ready to be understood. You don't have to dive into it. Just acknowledge it. And as you breathe, whisper quietly in your mind, what am I believing because of this? What am I ready to understand differently now? Let your subconscious respond in feelings, colors, sensations. It doesn't have to be in words. Sometimes awareness speaks in the language of the body. A warmth here, a flutter there, a soft release somewhere deep. Now, imagine you pick up a pen made of light. You don't need paper. the surface you're writing on, it's in your mind. And as you write, you begin to record the new truth. You write, I am not my trauma. I am the thinker of my thoughts. I can choose to grow something new. Each phase becomes a seed, and those seeds begin to take root inside your brain. New pathways, new light. You can almost see your neutral garden forming. Green shots of calm, blossoms of self-trust. Weaving through the soil of your memory. And now, imagine yourself gently stepping back, looking at what you've written with soft eyes. Not as the old self who was in the pain, but as a wiser self who has grown through it. You see both versions of you now, the one who survived and the one who is thriving. And as you breathe slowly, you might whisper, I am proud of how far I've come. Notice how your body responds to that. Perhaps a subtle ease in your spine, a deepening of your breath, a quiet agreement from somewhere within. Your mind is beginning to recheck, to reclassify the memory, not as danger, but as wisdom, as experience, as proof of your resilience. And now, see yourself standing in a field of soft morning light. The air feels clean, the kind that fills your lungs with possibility. This is the moment of active reach, the place where new beliefs take shape in motion. In front of you is a small path, the path of your life, and each step you take is a signal to your brain that you're rebuilding something new. Step 1. I am safe now. Step 2. I can think new thoughts. Step 3. My mind is rewiring itself in my favor. Step 4. Every breath is a rehearsal for peace. Step 5. I choose to live in the present moment. And as you walk, you can feel your old neutral patterns quieting down, like distant echoes fading into silence, while your new pathways, the ones built from awareness, reflection, writing, recheck, and active reach, begin to glow brighter with each breath. Your mind, your body, your heart, all working together now in harmony and renewal, in peace. In a moment, I'll count from 1 to 5, And with each number, you bring this calm awareness back with you as a gift, a skill, a neutral habit of peace. 1. Breathing deeply, feeling grounded in your body. 2. Integrating the story, the steps, the new connections. 3. Bringing awareness to the present moment. 4. Feeling clear, calm, confident. 5. Fully awake, fully refreshed. Your mind renewed, your heart light, your brain rewired for peace. Take one last breath in, and as you exhale, whisper to yourself, I am free to think new thoughts. And so it is. So here are the key meanings of the story. Number 1, the mind can be rewired. You are not broken. At the heart of the story is the idea that healing is a process of reconciliation, not erasure. Elena's discovery of Caroline Leaf's work represents the moment a person realizes they are not a passive victim of their past, but an active participant in how their brain holds and interprets memory. Trauma doesn't live in the past, it lives in the neutral patterns. But the brain is neuroplastic, meaning it can literally reshape itself through intentional thought. This is the first seed of empowerment. You are not broken. Your brain is simply ready to be rewired. Number 2, awareness, turning toward, not away. The step of awareness teaches a listener how healing begins when we face, rather than flee, what hurts. Elena's trembling body, her tightening chest, her hand over her heart. These represent the somatic entry point into trauma integration. Awareness isn't about fixing the feeling. It's about creating a compassionate witness within. In awareness, the listener learns that observation is the first act of release. Number 3, reflection, reframing the meaning. Reflection invites curiosity instead of judgment by asking the question, what did I decide about myself because of this? Elena moves from emotional reactivity to cognitive clarity. This step mirrors metacognition, thinking about thinking. It dissolves shame and replaces it with understanding. Reflection transforms pain into perspective. What once felt like chaos becomes data. What once felt personal becomes pattern, and therefore changeable. Number 4, writing, externalizing the inner storm. Writing represents embodied cognitive reprocessing. When Elena writes, I see you, you survived. She's engaging both hemispheres of her brain, logic and emotion, bridging what trauma had separated. Writing creates a tangible separation between self and the story. It helps listeners understand that their pain is not their identity. It's a cheap chapter within the greater narrative. In writing, memory moves from being felt to being filed. Number 5, recheck, reclassification through compassion. Recheck is a neurocognitive pivot. It's where the listener examines the old thought and consciously chooses a new lens. When Elena reframes her trauma as something that cultivated empathy, she literally changes the somatic strength of that thought network. This mirrors Dr. Leaf's research. Each time we recall a memory and assign a new meaning to it, we physically restructure it in the brain. The meaning of the past becomes flexible, fluid, and forgiving. Number 6, active reach, embodying the new neutral pathway. Active reach is where insight becomes embodiment. For Elena, these are small, consistent actions: placing a hand over heart, writing gratitude, making eye contact. Each act tells the nervous system, we are safe now. This is the anchor point where mental change becomes cellular memory. Healing doesn't happen in theory, it happens in repetition. Each repetition becomes a neutral rehearsal of peace. Number 7, the neutral garden, healing as growth, not deletion. The neutral garden metaphor carries deep symbolism. The soil is the subconscious. The seeds are new thoughts planted through awareness. The weeds are toxic thought networks being uprooted through reflection. The blooming is the manifestation of new beliefs through active reach. This garden shows that healing isn't about forgetting what grew before. It's about nurturing new growth in the same soil. What once was trauma becomes terrain. What once was pain becomes purpose. Number 8, integration of the 5 steps as a healing cycle. The 5 steps aren't linear, they spiral. Each time Elena revisits the memory, she moves through awareness, reflection, writing, recheck, active reach again, but each time at a higher, calmer, wiser frequency. This creates a feedback loop of healing, where the brain rewires, the body relaxes, the soul integrates. The listener learns, I don't have to relive my pain to heal it. I only have to relate to it differently. Number 9, emotional and spiritual layer. Beyond the neuroscience, the story carries a subtle spiritual current. Elena's journey is one of reclaiming divine authorship of her own mind, of remembering that the Creator designed her brain for renewal. Each thought rewritten becomes a small act of resurrection. The moral, healing is not forgetting, it is remembering differently through love. And maybe, listener, you've carried something too, a story that's been living in your mind long after it should have been set free. Maybe tonight, you can begin to your own 5 steps: awareness, reflection, writing, recheck, active reach. And in doing so, you might just rewire your life, one thought, one neuron, one gentle breath at a time. Go ahead and take that breath now, in through your nose and out through your heart. And as you do, know that healing has already begun. Until next time, be well.